Who do you serve? Sounds like an easy, immediate question you should know the answer to. But it's not that simple because there's another question, in my opinion, that gets asked immediately, which is who do your thoughts serve? Now, this is an idea that kind of took me back when I first saw it. Your thoughts should serve you. Your thoughts shouldn't work against you. And this is something where my thoughts always did. In fact, I would say in many ways they are outright adversarial to me. Uh, and if I had to speak specifically what's going on, I'd say it mimics my thought patterns, and the way my thoughts respond to me mimic the way I was treated when I was young. And I hate going back to that so much. And it's such a cliche. I feel terrible every time I bring it up. But it makes such an impact on who you become that there's no way around it. I mean, if you're trying to be direct and honest, if you're a dysfunctional person, it almost unquestionably lies in childhood. And that's the unfortunate reality. But when it comes to thoughts, you can change your thoughts and control your thoughts to an extent. It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of repetition. For instance, the word bad used to repeat over and over in my mind. Didn't matter about what. I was just bad for doing everything. I mean, this went on till I was in my 30s, maybe. So when I asked myself, who do my thoughts serve? It's certainly not me. And that's a big problem. Because your thoughts, in my opinion, now I've never been a healthy individual, but I imagine that your thoughts should be helpful to you. You know, outside of things like making connections, history, thinking about problems with the mind, and so forth, like that's something else. And I'm pretty good at that stuff. But when it comes to like how I actually feel about myself and what I see of myself, it is almost exclusively negative unless I have gone in and reshaped things. And that's a lot of work. And you know, it took maybe 3 months just to get the word bad to stop repeating in my mind constantly. And I mean, that's one of the more mundane ones. They get pretty extreme. You know, the more extreme your life has been, obviously, the more extreme the patterns will be. That's just the way it is. Um, you you see what you've experienced, kind of. In many ways, it is like a reflection. But the thoughts, changing your thoughts, if they do not serve you, you really should invest time into thinking about why they have developed the way they do and what you can do to change them. And one of the simplest things you can do to change them is mantras. Repeating the same thing over and over and over. I even go as far as writing it down on a daily basis. Like I have the things I need to change about myself, the things I know I need to consistently tell myself, and I will write them down every morning when I wake up over and over again. And eventually it does change, but it takes a Herculean effort because it's one of those things where you feel no change as it's happening. And it's not till long after it has changed that you realize anything has changed. But it's you know, microscopic. It's very frustrating. It's one of the most frustrating things, in my opinion, about mental health is trying to change thought patterns and behaviors. It is maddening because, like I said, it feels like you're doing nothing. it feels like no progress is being made. In fact, it can make you feel more insane. Here I am writing these things down every day, multiple times. Uh, it reminiscent of Jack Nicholson in The Shining. But reinforcing an idea, that's, in a way, that's how the patterns got set up in the beginning, is parents, siblings, and the people, family, friends, the people around you set these patterns up by reinforcing things in you. And if people reinforce negative things in you, then that has to be altered. And that is one thing I realized. One of the earliest videos I tried to make, and I mean, all this stuff's eventually going to be remade because it's all terrible right now. But a good idea today is better than a great idea tomorrow. You just got to dive in and fuck it up for a while before you finally get it right. But when I realized that the people that had control in my life were the people that treated me the worst, the people that wanted to harm me the most, the people that found it funny. And like 28 years later, I realized these people still had ultimate control over my mind because I spent all my time trying to stop myself from being vulnerable, living with a level of aggression that wasn't warranted just to protect myself in my eyes. But I was protecting myself from ghosts, things that happened almost 30 years ago. And here I am still trying to, compensate for that. And it's extremely destructive. And I realized those people would find that very funny. That they still had that much power over me. That everything that people had done to me kind of stopped when I was 14 as far as like physical and sexual stuff. And it was very rare. I think there was one time when I was 14. But there was still other forms of abuse. I really don't like that word. In the context of the internet, it means nothing. But when I'm talking about it, I usually mean being punched in the face or things of that nature, being legitimately physically hurt. They're yelling at somebody and humiliating them and doing that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's abuse too and has a traumatic impact on a child's psyche. And, I would say that was very standard fare in my life. Humiliation is one of the most normal things. And that's kind of depressing. But it bothered me that these people still had control over me. And essentially, unknowingly, my thoughts served people that had abused me. That's who they were working for. And that had to stop. And I still work with it. Even last week, I kind of became destabilized. There's very few people that can touch me and affect me. But the people that can, they can have a profound impact. And it can destabilize things to the point where I don't want to do extra stuff. I get done what I have to do. And right now, videos aren't something I have to do, but something I'm trying to force myself to do. Because, the hour grows late. The clock is counting down. So if I have a message, I better start sharing it. And, be damned what happens. But that's enough for today. The main question, who do your thoughts serve? Who are they working for? Because they should be working for you. Your thoughts should be helping you. They should be at least kind to you. And this is something my thoughts never are unless I'm in control of it. So, the earlier you get started, the easier it is to deal with. Like I said, positive reinforcement is probably the simplest one and the easiest one to do because it's just something you have to tell yourself. Like myself with bad, I would constantly have to repeat to myself, "You're not bad. You're not bad." Over and over and over again, telling myself, even you're good. And it sounds stupid because it's so childish, but a lot of this stuff is stupid because it's childish, like because it's from childhood. And that's even more unfortunate because you feel even dumber dealing with it. But, well,